You're scrolling through your phone at 2 a.m., seeing nothing but chaos, division, and endless bad news. Then you see Superman flying across a movie screen, cape flowing, that impossible smile on his face. And for just a moment, you feel something shift inside you. Something you haven't felt in a long time. Hope. Superman just shattered box office expectations, pulling in over $220 million globally. But here's the thing that's got me completely fascinated. This isn't just about a movie doing well. This is about our collective psyche screaming for something we've been starved of. And the science behind why we need Superman right now. It's absolutely mind-blowing. The psychology of hope and heroism. Let's start with what's happening in our brains when we see Superman. According to research published in the Journal of Positive Psychology, exposure to heroic imagery triggers what psychologists call the elevation response, a specific neurochemical cocktail that includes oxytocin, dopamine, and serotonin. Essentially, Superman literally makes us feel better at a biological level. But it goes deeper than that. Dr. Jonathan Haidt's groundbreaking work on moral emotions shows that witnessing moral beauty like Superman saving people without expecting anything in return activates the vagus nerve, which physically expands our chest and creates that warm, uplifting sensation. It's not just emotional, it's physiological. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. We're living through what social psychologists call a meaning crisis. Studies from the American Psychological Association show that rates of anxiety, depression, and existential dread have skyrocketed since 2020. We're more connected than ever, yet more isolated. More informed, yet more confused about what's true. Enter Superman. He represents what psychologist Dr. Philip Zimbardo calls the heroic imagination, our innate capacity to envision ourselves as agents of positive change. When we see Superman choosing to help, to sacrifice, to believe in humanity despite everything, we're not just watching a character. We're activating dormant neural pathways that remember what it feels like to believe in something bigger than ourselves. But there's something even more profound happening here. Terror management theory, developed by psychologists Sheldon Solomon and Ernest Becker, suggests that most human behavior is driven by our subconscious awareness of death. We create meaning, build civilizations, and cling to symbols specifically to cope with existential anxiety. Superman is the ultimate immortality project, a symbol that transcends human limitations. He's not just strong, he's incorruptible. Not just fast, he's reliable. Not just powerful, he's good. In a world where every hero seems to fall, every institution seems to crumble, Superman represents the impossible hope that goodness can actually win. And James Gunn understands this perfectly. His Superman isn't fighting just physical threats, he's fighting cynicism itself. When Gunn says this Superman is about wrestling with identity in a world where perception of self can be dictated by those around us, he's tapping into something psychologists call reflected appraisal, how we see ourselves through others' eyes. Think about it, how many of us have lost faith in our own goodness because the world keeps telling us we're naive for believing in it? The dark side of hope. But wait, before we get carried away with Superman worship, let's explore the flip side, because psychologists have identified some genuinely troubling patterns in our relationship with heroic figures. Dr. Sherry Turkle's research at MIT reveals what she calls technological self-fragmentation. We're so overwhelmed by digital stimulation that we're losing the ability to be alone with our thoughts. Some critics argue that Superman movies are just another form of escapism, preventing us from dealing with real-world problems. There's also the learned helplessness phenomenon. When we consistently look to external heroes, whether fictional or real, we can unconsciously train ourselves to believe that positive change only comes from extraordinary people with extraordinary powers. Regular humans like us? We're just waiting to be saved. Psychologist Dr. Albert Bandura's work on self-efficacy suggests that excessive hero worship can actually decrease our belief in our own ability to create change. We become passive consumers of heroism rather than active participants in it. And then there's the darker question, are we using Superman as a psychological band-aid for systemic problems that require real-world solutions? Climate change, inequality, political division, these aren't problems a man in a cape can fix. Some argue that our obsession with superhero salvation fantasies is actually preventing us from engaging with the messy, complicated work of actual democracy and social change. I mean, think about it. If Superman existed, would we even bother trying to be better people? Or would we just let him handle everything while we go back to scrolling through our phones? The deeper truth. But here's what I think both sides are missing. The real power of Superman isn't that he solves our problems, it's that he reminds us we're capable of solving them ourselves. Dr. Carol Dweck's research on growth mindset shows that exposure to positive role models doesn't make us dependent, it expands our sense of what's possible. When we see Superman choose hope over cynicism, we're not learning to wait for a savior. We're remembering that choosing hope is an option. And here's the beautiful paradox: Superman's greatest superpower isn't his strength or speed. It's his unwavering belief in humanity. Even when we disappoint him, even when we fail, even when we're at our absolute worst, he still believes we can be better. That's not escapism. That's the most radical act of faith imaginable. I've been thinking a lot about why Superman's box office success feels so significant right now, and I think it's because we're not just hungry for hope, we're hungry for permission to hope. In a culture that rewards cynicism and mocks optimism, Superman gives us permission to believe that caring isn't weakness, that helping isn't naive, that choosing love over fear isn't stupid. Psychologist Dr. Martin Seligman's research on learned optimism shows that hope isn't just a feeling, it's a skill. It's something we can practice, develop, and strengthen. Every time we choose to believe in Superman, we're actually practicing believing in ourselves. Because here's the secret: Superman isn't the hero of the story. We are. He's just showing us what we look like when we remember who we really are. Questions. But this raises some fascinating questions I can't stop thinking about. If Superman represents our highest aspirations, what does his popularity tell us about what we think we're lacking? Are we drawn to him because we've forgotten our own capacity for heroism, or because we're finally ready to reclaim it? And here's the bigger question: in a world full of real heroes, healthcare workers, teachers, activists, people who choose kindness every single day, why do we still need the fictional ones? What is it about the cape and the symbol that speaks to something our rational minds can't quite grasp? Maybe the real question isn't whether we need Superman. Maybe it's whether we're ready to become him. The parting thought. You know what I think is really happening here? I think we're standing at a crossroads. We can keep waiting for someone else to save us, or we can realize that the person we've been waiting for has been here all along, staring back at us in the mirror. Imagine a world where everyone who felt that spark watching Superman decided to carry a little bit of that light into their everyday life. Where every person who felt hope in a dark theater decided to become a reason for someone else to hope. We wouldn't need a man who can fly, we'd have 8 billion people choosing to lift each other up. That's not fantasy. That's just Tuesday if we want it to be. So here's what I want to know: what's your Superman moment? When did you last choose hope over cynicism, or help over indifference? Drop it in the comments. I read every single one, and I have a feeling your story might be exactly what someone else needs to hear today. If this exploration into the psychology of hope got you thinking, smash that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into why we love what we love. And hey, if you know someone who needs a reminder that heroes are real, they're just wearing regular clothes, share this with them. Until next time, keep flying.